What is going on, everybody, and welcome to week 11 here at the Armchair Fantasy Show. Sorry we haven't been here for the last 2 weeks, but we are back this week. We got a bunch of things to talk about tonight. We have a great guest coming on to do that with us. We got a QB change in Indy. We got some trade deadlines fast approaching. We got some rest of season risers and fallers. Of course, as always, we'll do our Underdog Pick'ems of the week, our Forgotten Fantasy Player, and the Nonsense Draft. So stay tuned.
Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah.
What is up, and welcome to episode 405 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I am your host, of course, Geoff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at GeoffLambert77. We're live here every Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on Twitter. We're syndicated in all major podcast networks. And we're going to be on Blue Sky. Blue Sky seems to be the hotness right now. Everybody's getting on Blue Sky, so you can also find us on Blue Sky now as well.
I don't know what that is. I've seen it all day.
Yeah, it's basically Twitter 2.0. It's essentially what that is. Everybody's moving over to Blue Sky, so I've been over there.
Threads or whatever it is.
It's similar to Thread. It's closer to Twitter though. It's more like Twitter. It's almost like a Twitter copy. But I think people after the election and Elon Musk, and I think they got sort of sick of the ads and all the stuff that goes on with Twitter. They've moved over to Blue Sky. So far, it's been pretty good. I've already gained like 500 followers over there. All the fantasy communities moving to Blue Sky. So if you're not on Blue Sky, go get on that app. You can find us over there as well. Ryan, man, we haven't been podcasting for a couple weeks, man. How you been?
Good, man. I mean, learning Blue Skies right now, so it's a good day.
It's a good day. I love it.
And it's hate week, so fuck the Steelers. I'm ready to go for the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Dropping F-bombs early in the show. I love it.
Sorry.
Also joining us tonight,
He's been on
the show multiple times. Of course, he's a co-host at the Fantasy Assessment Podcast, and he's also a Fantasy Pros ranker. He's a fellow GoingFor2 member, Mr. Chew Russell. You can find him on Twitter at Father Dynasty. What's up, Chew?
What's up, fellas? Glad to be back on the show. I know I stumped you guys with my my player last time, so I think this one might be a bit easier, but I'm saying that I'm looking at it. I don't know that that's going to be the case. So looking forward to this nonsense draft. Looking forward to the player.
Is that like only the second stumping the whole year, or the only one?
I think we've gotten stumped twice. Yes, I think he stumped us, and we got somebody else that stumped us as well this whole year. Yeah, so yeah, I think Chew got us on his last one. All right, as always, guys, today's show brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check out their best ball leagues, huge tournaments, private leagues, pick'ems for all major sports. Use our promo code GF2 and get bonus bucks up to $1,000. Simple as that. Sign up, use promo code GF2, and you can start drafting your best ball teams. They do daily best ball. I mentioned the pick'ems. We'll do pick'ems tonight as well. So go get the app. It's they've been making some major improvements to the app as well. So if you used it early on and weren't a fan, I would check it out again. Use that promo code GF2 to get those bonus bucks. All right, let's go ahead and jump straight into our nonsense draft.
Attention, everyone. Let's mock draft.
All right, so I was trying to come up with something super creative tonight, super out of the box. Unfortunately, my brain was not working tonight, so it came up to be a very simple one. We are drafting tonight our best Thanksgiving side dishes, and always the guest gets to go first. So, Chew, you got the 101 here.
This was so easy for me, and I don't know who's going to agree. I've got to go with green bean casserole.
Oh, you bastard! That was mine. I like
Okay,
that.
all right.
Favorite one.
I'm not aware as to like how many people love green bean casserole, but my wife makes an incredible one, and with the crispy onion straws and everything, you cook it with crispy onion straws, and then you take the full container, and then you just keep eating them with it. Incredible.
Do you do bacon on yours? Because my
Ooh,
does bacon, little bacon bits.
I don't, but I like that. Might have to add that to it.
Oh, she will now.
Yeah, that was mine. Mine was green bean casserole as well
There you
with
go.
the bacon on top of it. So yeah, good pick here at the 101. Ryan, you got the 102.
Stuffing. Love me some stuffing. I thought that was what he was saying. Says the easy one I want. Guess not.
Yeah, that's a good one as well. Those definitely are the top two for sure. I got the 103, and I no matter what dinner it is, I love bread. And those little Hawaiian rolls, Thanksgiving seems to be the only time we ever eat those is during Thanksgiving. But I love those little Hawaiian rolls. And then on day two after you've eaten all the turkey, I like putting cold turkey in the Hawaiian roll with some mayonnaise and eat it just like that. So yeah, I love those little Hawaiian rolls. So I'll take this here at the 103. All right, 201 Chew.
Geoff, I'm just gonna say leftover turkey sliders, unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this is another one that I think would be a fan favorite for most people. It just depends on which way you like it done. I'm a mac and cheese guy, and honestly, I don't eat it a lot throughout the year. It's just I wait for Thanksgiving when you get just the oven baked mac and cheese. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's definitely a good one as well. Mac and cheese is definitely a very Thanksgiving-ish thing that I think of when I think Thanksgiving. Love it. Ryan, you got the 202.
Some sort of glazed cooked carrots, maybe like a honey butter or something of that nature.
Love it. Yeah, that's definitely another staple for sure. So I'm going with one that we are asked to bring to Thanksgiving pretty much every year because my wife stole my recipe and now she makes it. But that is sweet potato casserole. You put the pecans on top with the brown sugar. It's absolutely delicious. It's almost like a dessert, but it's a side dish. So that's what I'll take here at the 203. Let's do one more round here, Chew. What you got for the 301?
So I have a backup in case this is overlapping with yours, but I was going to go with cornbread. So
Cornbread.
I'm a huge fan. That's another thing where it's mostly just around Thanksgiving, maybe Christmas. I'll have it, but being from Virginia's the somewhat South, I guess you could say. Cornbread is a bit of a staple, so I'd love to have that Thanksgiving.
Yep, I love it. We have both. We have the cornbread and the Hawaiian rolls there for sure.
Nice.
Yep, that's definitely a good pick there. Ryan, what's your last pick here at the 302?
Dude, I'm just breaking rules. We're going Dutch apple pie. We're skipping dessert.
Skip
I'm gonna
right.
eat that early.
I love it. Yeah,
We're skipping.
I had a feeling someone would do that, and it had to be Ryan, of course. Go with the apple pie.
Can't break the rules if you make the rules, baby.
Yeah,
That's right.
All right, I'll round off the draft here with an easy one that I'm surprised made it this far, but just mashed potatoes and gravy. I mean, that's pretty much the basic side, right? I think if you're gonna have, anything at all, you gotta have mashed potatoes and gravy for sure. So I'll take mashed potatoes and gravy here at the 303.
And are you a garlic mashed potatoes guy?
What was that?
Are you a garlic mashed potatoes guy?
I do like the garlic on there. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Ryan, what are you gonna say? You have a question on your face. I could see it.
Oh no, I'm good. Red potatoes popped into my head. Big fan of that too.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep, those are good as well.
I'm just
all right.
Hungry. This is terrible.
Yeah, no, I'm hungry as well. All right, let's go ahead and get to the armchair roulette. Or maybe not. My drop doesn't want to seem to work. All right, well we'll just go ahead and jump right into it then. I don't know why my drop won't work. There we go. Let me bring my app back up here again and try it one more time.
Let's get ready for Armchair Fantasy Roulette.
All right, y'all know how this works. I loaded up, I think, 14 different topics tonight. We'll spin the wheel, see what pops up. But before we spin the wheel, we did have a question in the chat that came through early on from Tyler Sperry. He wants to know, he's got Dell, Bateman, and Judy. Dell, Bateman, Judy, and Josh Downs, and he needs to start one of those guys. Ryan, which of these four guys are you starting here?
I'm going Dell. I'm sure we're going to talk about later. I don't trust any wide receiver than Anthony Richardson. Steelers Ravens game can be anything with Bateman. So I don't trust that. And I trust nothing in Cleveland. So Tank Dell against a terrible Dallas team, process elimination. Easy choice for me.
Yeah. Are you going the same route there, Chew, or do you got something else that you want to add?
You know, Bateman's been a wild card this whole year. He's someone who I was in on, I held on to for a while, got rid of him in a couple of spots, and then he has a couple of boom games this year. He also got hit in the face with the ball, so there's that. But
I gotta bring that up, man.
yeah, but I won't be fooled again. I do think it's a Dell week. I wish it was Downs, and I am a big Anthony Richardson fan, but he's got some stuff to sort out before he can sustain throwing the ball to a couple of receivers and making them fantasy relevant week in and week out. So
Agreed. I'll sweep it. I'll make it Tank Dell as well. Nico Collins returns this week, which I think helps Dell. I don't know if Dell is the number one receiver that he's just too small. So I think with Diggs being out, Nico Collins being back, Tank Dell slots back into his more natural role. I think he has a big game this week, so I will take Tank Dell as well. All right, let's get to our first roulette wheel topic here. All right, this one's from Sal Vitri DFS on Twitter, and he's talking about guys that are sort of buy now. If you can get them as before the trade deadline. And one of the guys he wants to talk about is Ramondre Stevenson. Quietly seen elite uses over the past month. He has played 75% of the snaps and has earned at least 20 opportunities per game over the last month. Let's go to you first, Hugh. Give me your thoughts on Ramondre Stevenson rest of season, and do you agree with Sal here that he's kind of a buy low right now?
I do, and it's interesting because with him having a bit of a bounce back after the fumble-rooski problems, as Andy Reid would say, coming into the season, I was very high on him. I know they were sorting out the quarterback situation, and it's not lost on me how atrocious that offensive line is. So you can be a very good running back, but if the quarterback is not much of a threat, and if the O-line is terrible, it's just not going to be that productive for you. And I think we saw that a bit throughout the beginning of this season, but I think we're seeing a different offense under Drake May. And I know he's still working out his own kinks, but I think his ability to push the ball downfield is allowing Ramondre Stevenson a bit more room to work underneath. And he is a capable pass catcher as well. I know they do have Antonio Gibson, who was literally a receiver in college, and to take a lot of that work. But I think Stevenson deserves and has shown he can handle a good workload. And I think with a renewed sense of confidence getting past the repetitive fumble issues and an improved offense, I think he's someone who's definitely a buy low, certainly for rest of season, and if considering dynasty and that sort of thing going forward into the next year as well.
Yeah, agreed 100%. I think if you look too at his passing game work, you mentioned Antonio Gibson. He's actually taking more of the snaps as a receiver than Gibson was earlier in the season as well. So he's getting opportunities in the running game and in the passing game. And he's the guy when they get down into the red zone. Doesn't happen very often because they're a bad team, but when they do get down there, he's getting the touchdown. So I like that call a lot. What about you, Ryan? What are your thoughts on Ramondre Stevenson?
I have top 12 running back here on out. Yes, he's had an uptick in carries, obviously, and touches. He's also had 5 top 10 finishes in 9 weeks of playing. Like, he's very involved in that offense. In volume alone, it's relevant. And I think everything you said about Drake May is true, plus Drake May can run, so that opens it up too. So I love it. And he's got a strong running game, protects the young quarterback. So they're going to keep hammering him.
Agreed 100%. All right, let's get to our next choice here, our next topic. All right, this one's from JJ Zacharyson. The Dolphins are one of 3 teams with a wide receiver target share below 50%. The other 2 are the Chiefs and the Saints. And he says, as a reminder, the Dolphins have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And the return of Tua hasn't done what we had hoped with these 2 receivers. Especially if you took Hill probably in the first round in most redraft leagues. Waddle you got later on, but you expected a lot more from Waddle as well. But their target share isn't what it used to be either. Like, they used to at least get targeted a ton, and Tua's been back now 3 games, and we haven't seen it. I mean, I know Tyreek Hill had a touchdown this past weekend, but we haven't really seen that Dolphins offense be what it is. Just talk a little bit about the offense in general, Ryan, and are you comfortable starting, Waddle and Tyreek Hill rest of the season?
Um, Tyreek Hill, I'm gonna start the rest of the season. I don't feel great about it, but I think he's still a good enough talent where he can do that. I don't think, especially this week against the Raiders, but I don't think Waddle's made for this world right now in fantasy. I think he's a boom bust player at this point, and with Tua being a little bit off and gun shy and hurt and mush brain, whatever. Like I'm just not there with it. I have no faith at this moment. So if I'm benching him, if I'm a dynasty, I'm trying to get rid of him. Like it's not even a buy low. I'm trying to I'm trying to cut my losses on him because it's atrocious.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. I'm a owner of Waddle in my home league, and this past weekend started off well, right? I mean, he had two catches early on. Had a really big catch, I think 26 yards. I was like, okay, cool. They're finally gonna get Waddle involved, and then didn't do much for the rest of the game. I'm starting, on that particular team. I'm starting Zay Flowers over him. I'm starting Brian Thomas Jr. over him. I'm still putting him over DJ Moore, but only slightly. It's gotten very close with those two. What are your thoughts, Chew, on these two receivers going forward?
I mean, in terms of redraft, I'm out on Waddle at this point for this year. I mean, I'd start Darnell Mooney over him comfortably. I think the role that he's gained there, especially from a PPR standpoint, is incredible. But with Tyreek, it's tough to sit him. It's not just the name. I think the thought is, if someone's going to not really feast, as we're seeing what the breakdown is there for the pass catchers there in Miami, but if someone's going to be the beneficiary of Tua's throws, it's going to be Tyreek Hill. And for Waddle in Dynasty, this is the kind of thing that I would be looking to buy him. Again, what is low? There is still the name value there. So would someone really let him go for something that's a little absurd? Probably not. But if it's being able to get him for a second and something, I doubt they would do that. But I don't know who's paying a first in Dynasty for Waddle, which is what his value could have been when he was hot last year on that offense. So definitely buying him in Dynasty if I can, but redraft, I'm out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in that league I'm talking about, now granted this was 2 years ago when he was a top 12 receiver, I bought him straight up for Christian McCaffrey, thinking that Christian McCaffrey was going towards the end of his career and didn't realize he's had these good games left, and thought I was getting this young receiver that's going to be a top 12 guy for the rest of his career, and has not worked out well for me. It worked out that season. I won a championship because he had a hot season that year, but has not worked out since, and I've been kind of waiting for that to blow up again, and it has not. So, I agree. I think you're both right on that. I think Tyreek Hill, you drafted him high. He has that explosion ability that he can blow up at any time. You got to put him in your lineup, even if he hurts you, and just hope that he has those big blow up games. And then Waddle is like I said, he's borderline, receiver 3 if you're lucky, maybe even lower than that if you got a pretty good roster.
Dude, I didn't want to start him there. Dude,
Yeah.
he's wide receiver 62 right now.
Yeah, that's brutal. Absolutely brutal. Even with Tua back, it hasn't panned out. So yeah, I think he's almost unstartable at this point until we see it again. All right, let's get our next topic on the board. All right, we got Sal Vitri again. Sal Vitri DFS on Twitter. He names 4 wide receivers you can drop safely in fantasy football: Gabe Davis, Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman, and Deontay Johnson. And it's that last name that I really wanted to put this on here for, because obviously he got traded, hasn't done a whole lot of anything since he got traded. So I'm going to go to you first on this one, Ryan, because I want your thoughts on Deontay Johnson in this offense. Does he ever have fantasy value the rest of the season in that Ravens offense? And then these other guys too, go ahead and touch on them as well.
Yeah, I'm not touching him this season in the Ravens offense. At best, he's target 6 on that team, because you're going to obviously say Andrews, likely, Bateman, Justice Hill are all going to get targeted over him. There's a chance Nelson Aguilar still is. There's a chance Charlie Kohler could get more work than him. Like, It's just, he is really down on the depth chart. They didn't give up much for him, so there's not really pressure other than him just complaining. So yeah, he's not startable until he proves me otherwise. And I'll gladly miss on a week because I don't believe in it.
And these other three guys, any chance, any relevance with Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy, Gabe Davis, any of those guys you're interested in the rest of the season?
Maybe Keon Coleman, but I guess if I had to take a chance, I wanted to be him.
Yeah, I think
The rest, I'm good with. I'm good.
Yeah, of the four, I think Keon Coleman is the one because he has shown some flashes this year. He's been injured the last 2 weeks, so hasn't played. But Chew, what are your thoughts on Deontay Johnson and the other three guys on this list as well?
Well, I mean, I won't even talk about the trade of the Panthers sending him to the Ravens and what the return was versus what they got for Jonathan Mingo. We don't need to go down that rough road. But for Deontay Johnson going to Baltimore, though, we see how the receivers are used there and who the receivers are. And I understand that Deontay is coming in the middle of the season. So, I mean, there is a bit of, ramp up. But if he was as impact for them, if they saw him to be as impact of a player, I think at this point, I don't know that he would be used so minimally. I feel like they would immediately have tried to uh, scheme him up a bit to where they can get him involved.
Yep.
And I think when you look at how they handle the pass game, I don't think scheme up is exactly how they view the receivers. It's very tight end heavy. Again, I mean, that might as well be tight end university there in Baltimore, the number of tremendous talents that have come out of there. And I'm out at least this season. And honestly, even after this year, it's going to be helpful that he is going to be a free agent and he's going to, be able to, for kind of the first time in his career, I know he re-upped with the Steelers and then traded again, but really be unrestricted free agent, pick where he wants to go. Hopefully it's a good situation. He could just do a money grab and just, do what he can. Who knows? But with these other guys, I mean, Gabe Davis, I was never in on him, even when he had his 50-plus point playoff performance a couple years ago, and people freaked out going to the next season saying he's going to be something. Gabe Davis is Gabe Davis. He's going to keep being Gabe Davis. And Worthy is the tricky one for me. That's right. I will use the man's name 3 times in one sentence, and it makes sense somehow. Worthy is a tricky one. Unfortunately, I mean, we saw what he was at the beginning of the season when there was just a dearth of wide receiver depth at that point. And then it kind of feels like he's just become like another McCole Hardman, although McCole Hardman has actually, unfortunately done a little bit more at various points in the season. And Keon Coleman, I was never really high on him as a prospect, and going to Buffalo, I wasn't really sure what that was going to look like. He surprised me, honestly, but with what that passing attack looks like, I trust Josh Allen. I just don't know generally where the ball is going to go after that. So really any of those guys, even including Dalton Kincaid, you don't know what's going to happen. Trust Josh Allen, trust James Cook, and everything else is just, you don't know.
Yep, absolutely. And going to your point about Deontay Johnson and them, not scheming him up, I think he had 3 routes run in this last game, his second game. But when you look at guys that traded midseason like Amari Cooper, the Bills got him acclimated into the offense almost immediately. DeAndre Hopkins, is already a big part. He didn't play a ton in that first game, but he did play enough. And Deontay Johnson's already basically schemed out of this offense. If you're only running 3 routes as a wide receiver, that's tough. It's tough to do anything with that. And Worthy, you mentioned, it's kind of hard to figure out what he is. He's still a rookie, obviously, and still trying to figure that offense out. And that offense hasn't been great other than the last couple of weeks when they actually played decently well. But Worthy's hard to trust. Keon Coleman is the one that if I need the depth, he's not starting for me, but if I need the depth, Keon Coleman's probably the one that I want. All right, let's get our next topic on the board. All right, this one is from Nick Guglielmo, Next Level Fantasy on Twitter, talking about George Pickens. George Pickens has turned into Russell Wilson's favorite targets. Last 3 games, he's averaged 7 targets, 4.6 receptions, 92 yards, and 18 fantasy points per game. He says he is a wide receiver 2 rest of season. I'll go to you first, Chew, on this one, because I kind of know where Ryan stands on this guy, but I'm curious to your thoughts on Pickens' rest of season outlook.
Pickens finally has someone that can get him the ball where he needs to on a consistent basis. And this is not tremendous shade to Justin Fields. I think from a fantasy standpoint, I think is a very polarizing guy when it comes to, you can see the box score, you can what he's able to do with his legs, and you can say, he's a productive player. He as long as he can make it relatively mistake free, he can generate points that way. But I think when you look at it from a true NFL standpoint, I think there's a bit more trust in giving the ball to Russell Wilson and having him, manage and if not win the game with his arm, versus Justin Fields needing to do it with his legs. Not a problem with that. He's uber athletic. He's a tremendous rushing talent and can make some throws. But I think you're finally now seeing what Russell Wilson was good at in Seattle transfer over into Pittsburgh. And I mean, Pickens is a monster on the sidelines with what he's able to do. And he's pretty damn good after the catch as well. He's slippery. He does oftentimes very weird herky-jerky movements and just starts carrying people with his hand to be able to get down the field. But, I mean, he's scrappy and he gets it done, and he finally has a quarterback that's going to help him do that. And he really has no threats. I mean, it's Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin. There's no one that's really going to warrant, give the ball to those other guys instead of me. He has the alpha wide receiver mentality, for better or for worse at certain moments. And I think he finally has that quarterback that's going to feed him in the way that he needs to.
Yeah, I think I saw someone tweet, and it's been mentioned a couple of times, that Pickens only catches the spectacular catches, right? I mean, it seems like every catch he makes is like spectacular. And Russell Wilson's not afraid to throw those jump balls, the contested throws, which is great for Pickens because he is a monster at those 50-50 balls. They're more like 70-30 when you throw it in his direction. He's going to find a way to catch those balls. So, yeah. What about you, Ryan? What are your thoughts on Pickens' rest of the season with Russell Wilson?
I will not say anything good about him this week, but I will say I told you that Russell Wilson liked big body outside wide receivers 3 weeks ago, and nothing's changed. She's proven right.
Yeah, Ryan.
I'm hoping I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope he's wrong this week. That's for sure. All right, let's get our next topic up here. All right, this one's kind of hard to see because the quality on there, but it's essentially comparing Jaden Daniels versus Caleb Williams, and asking the question, did the Bears make the wrong choice, or do you think that Caleb Williams still has a chance to be the guy that we all thought he could be? Obviously, early into the rookie season, they've not looked good. That Hail Mary pass a couple of weeks ago sort of broke this team, it seems. They haven't scored a touchdown since that game, I don't believe. I'm going to go to you first on this one, Shu. What are your thoughts on Caleb Williams, in comparison to Jaden Daniels, but just in general, his rookie season has been a little rough for him recently?
I mean, it's crazy to say. I know some people had kind of mentioned that going into the year. It certainly seemed to be the minority more so than the majority of, hey, maybe it's not Caleb, maybe it's, and it normally would be Jaden Daniels. There, of course, were some Drake May fans. Shout out Jerry Wilkie on that one. But I don't know. I mean, I'm still more comfortable with Jaden Daniels, absolutely, from a fantasy perspective, simply because there had been weapons there for a bit, even after they got rid of Jahan Dotson. I think there's a good trust in Terry McLaurin and company in terms of who they have there. Cliff Kingsbury, I'm a little nervous in the sense of, does he leave immediately for a head coaching job? Because after being exiled from that, for lack of a better word, shit show that it kind of became in Arizona, it was good, but just never quite good enough. And him getting a chance to run the offense there in Washington with a rookie quarterback, some good weapons, and it's pretty incredible for them. I do hope he does stay at least another year or so. I don't want Jaden Daniels' development to be hampered necessarily. But for Caleb Williams, he's going through a rough patch. And it almost kind of feels like a Trevor Lawrence type of situation, not necessarily apples to apples in an Urban Meyer type of situation, but just in terms of it seems like a lot of trouble and noise and stuff in the coaching staff and in the building and that sort of thing. The rumblings that some of the veterans were saying that maybe he should be getting benched. Whether that was true or not, I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked though. But getting the OC fired and Eberflus, the fact that he has a job, he has so much blackmail on people that he needs to, that is the only reason he has a job. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But, I think he can turn this around. It is going to kind of be dependent upon the Chicago Bears organization and how they kind of put that around him, get him in the right environment, right coach, that kind of thing. If they don't, I don't know if he can overcome it. And what part of it is his fault and that kind of stuff. What part of it is the coaching's fault and the organization's fault? Probably a little bit of both, I'm sure. But Jane Daniels, just watching him play, the guy is just comfortable. He does not get rattled. The play that you saw in college, it's translating apples to apples into the NFL. I just love watching him play.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about the Bears organization, and I saw a tweet that sort of brought to light that I kind of already knew this, but I just didn't, I had seen it on paper, was kind of an eye-opening. But, they took Mitch Trubisky pretty high in the draft. Next year, they fired the coach. And then did the same thing with Justin Fields, took Justin Fields high in the draft. And the next year, they fired the coach. And it seems like it's going to follow the same pattern here, where they're going to take Caleb Williams, and then the next year, they're going to fire the coach. It just sets these guys back so terribly that it's hard to recover from that. Ryan, how do you feel about Caleb Williams going forward? Career-wise, fantasy-wise, just in general.
Bring up just what you did. So I was talking about that tweet because that was crazy about what they do. I think the Bears are just a dumpster fire organization right now. They ruined Mitch Trubisky. They ruined Justin Fields. Not saying they could have been great or were great, but when this happens 3 times in a row, it might be the organization of the quarterback. We've seen good quarterbacks take too many sacks and get it. Like, look, he got sacked 9 times this week.
That's crazy.
Insane.
Insane.
He had another week with 7 sacks, another with 6. He's been getting pounded. This is like David Carr numbers. And it's very hard for a player to get confidence to recover from that. So they need major changes in that organization from the top down for me to have faith. I don't think it's a talent thing. I know he probably it doesn't get talked about, but Jaden Daniels is he has more starts in college. He's been around more, he's been in different systems. He's a much more of a veteran at this point than Caleb Williams, just off of college instead of a 2-year starter. There's a lot that goes into that. But this organization does not help, man. I know the receivers are great or were great or look good on paper, but your offensive line, that matters. It's not good, man.
Yeah, the offensive line is terrible. I was going to say that, there's a couple of times when you watch them play that when the play works and the play is blocked, he drops back, sets his back foot, and throws that deep out. That is beautiful, right? You're like, that's the guy that they drafted. But it's when it's, that first read's not open. He doesn't have time to get to a second read. The offensive line can't block long enough to get to a second read. He's scrambling around. He's not much of a scrambling quarterback. He just doesn't have that, that ability to do that on the run and be accurate. It's just, they got to get that offensive line fixed. And I think until that happens, they can't really judge what they have in Caleb Williams. It's that terrible that they, this past week, I think they were out without both starting tackles. They were already terrible to begin with. And then you take out the starting tackles and put the backups in there, then that's definitely not a good thing. So yeah, it's tough.
He's been sacked 38 times this year. He's gonna finish in probably if he can finish the season, there's a real good chance he finishes in the top 10 or higher for most times sacked in the season ever for quarterback.
Yep. That is not a good recipe for a rookie quarterback for sure. I think as much as we all loved Rome Odunze, I think that was the wrong pick. It should have been an offensive lineman there at that pick. They shouldn't have picked today.
Absolutely should have been an offensive lineman.
Yep. All right, let's get back to the wheel. All right, this one's from Chris O'Brien at 17 Game Pace on Twitter, talking about Tyrone Tracy. He's been the workhorse since taking over in week 5. He's got 76% of the running back carries, 61% of the running back targets, 98.7 yards per game, consistent explosive plays. He is a stud. We'll talk about this guy. He's on a bye this week, but talk about Tyrone Tracy a little bit, Ryan.
I love Tyrone Tracy. He's been in my lineup, set him and forget him, and multiple leagues this year. when a running back's getting volume, it doesn't matter if the team sucks. He's involved in the passing game. He's getting multiple targets a game. He's getting ran 15 to 20 times every single game. Sign me up, man. I don't care if it's not efficient, but guess what it is? He's playing well
Yeah.
all around. He's breaking runs. He's getting in the end zone. He's the only real him and Neighbors getting bright spots on this entire team. I think Tracy's a good one for them, and he might be there for a couple of years. He's actually looks like a good back. He breaks tackles. He runs through guys. He can make people miss. He's a little bit electric. There's a lot to like out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. I have him in my home league. I drafted him at the 312, so the last round. We only do 3 rounds. Last pick in the last round. And now he's starting in my lineup over Travis Etienne and Ramondre Stevenson. So, I mean, that's kind of how this guy's, taken off. He was on my taxi squad to start the season. I had to take him off the taxi squad because he just got to be too good. What are your thoughts, Chew, on this? I know you got to see it firsthand with your Panthers last week. He was the reason y'all were able to pull that victory out, but before that, he looked really good as well. So talk about Tracy a little bit.
Man, whenever I see a Giants running back that is stricken by fumble-itis, I just definitely think of Tiki Barber back in the day.
Yeah.
Hometown hero, by the way. Actually, grew up in where I live. But Tyrone Tracy, I was big on him coming out of college as a sleeper. So, a lot of things have to kind of fall right for that to work out. Certainly for a running back, it ends up being easier in the sense of how teams run it nowadays with needing more depth, and certainly injuries can compound, and the Giants are generally dog shit. So it works out that Tyrone Tracy got an opportunity. I'm a sucker for a converted wide receiver turned running back. I loved Antonio Gibson coming out of college. And what Tyrone Tracy is able to do, I mean, the good thing about those types of guys is they oftentimes, they have that pretty durable frame, to be a receiver, and then they have the athleticism and ideally quick twitch to be able to be a running back out of the backfield. He doesn't look like he's like misplaced in the backfield as a running back. Like, I understand he's a converted wide receiver, but he looks like a true running back that has that wide receiver ability out of the backfield as a pass catcher, which is fantastic.
Yep.
And I'm so glad that he's getting this opportunity in New York. It also probably helped that Devin Singletary, I know he was signed as a free agent, beyond this year. I can't remember 100% how that works out with dead money and that sort of thing. And by no means do I think he should be gone. But I think what we're seeing now is Singletary can be a support in either way, both on the ground and through the air, to what Tyrone Tracy's going to do, as he's a much more explosive component to that offense. And I mean, if you think about, we're excited about Malik Neighbors. He's the one. I'm sure not a lot of people thought you'd be able to pair up in the same draft class Malik Neighbors and a starting star wide receiver. And I won't say star in Tyrone Tracy, but at least an above average running back that you're pairing in the same draft class, that for years to come, once you get the quarterback right, this thing could be looking a lot different.
Yeah. Could you imagine if they had a quarterback that would, that offense might actually be decent?
Maybe.
Yeah, I love him, and I always like the guys that you get super late in your draft that end up being relevant. Those guys always have a soft spot in your heart for them. You always root for them in their career. So yeah, I like Tracy a lot for sure. All right, back to the wheel. All right, this was talking about Kyler Murray. So I think we talked, maybe about 5-6 weeks ago that he was struggling. Well, Kyler Murray is now averaged or got at least 20 plus fantasy points 3 of his last 4 games. Cardinals are winners of four straight and firing on all cylinders. And Nick says Murray is a top 5 QB rest of season. What do you think, Chew? Top 5? Are you putting him in that top 5 category rest of season?
I mean, I'm very easy and comfortable in top 10. I think I'm okay with 5, but I think it's top 5, but 5. I think thinking about the schedule, it's not too terribly difficult. I know they play Minnesota in terms of defenses that are tough. Did he play Seattle? Seattle twice. So,
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, he has kind of caught on. And I think, this offense is humming. I know earlier in the season, it was a bit up and down. In a week, he had a massive week 2, and there's kind of a bit of a gap after that. But I do think that this Arizona Cardinals offense, he's got Trey McBride. That's kind of the comfort blanket, but he's got plenty of other weapons there. The tried and true James Conner. I do think that, for all that we think about Kyler Murray for his career of him being an incredible dual threat, and the Cliff Kingsbury, I know I mentioned the good things happening with Jaden Daniels, but I think a lot of that while Kingsbury was there in Arizona, it felt like things just, maybe weren't as smooth as they should have been, and he maybe didn't achieve what he could have and what he was capable of. But coming back from this injury, he seems all the way back, and it's just great to see him with good weapons around him and producing from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, it was almost like he wanted to prove all the Call of Duty naysayers wrong, right? Because, I mean, as soon as Call of Duty came out, all the jokes came off on Twitter, and all of a sudden, Kyler Murray's playing better than he ever has all season. So it's like, he's like, okay, it's not the Call of Duty thing for sure.
He prestiged.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan?
I'm always team Kyler Murray. He's obviously has a rushing upside with it. You mentioned some of his weapons, but Marvin Harrison's starting to come on for him. And we were complaining about him weeks ago, but he's now leading rookie receivers in touchdowns. He's slowly coming up and getting acclimated. They're learning how to use them. Their team is peaking at the right time. And I believe in Kyler for this. I mean, there's potential, not like just in the NFL. He's number 2 or 3 in the Heisman balance, or not the Heisman, geez, not college, in the MVP race right now.
Yeah.
Like, he's having a really good year, and I think he's starting to get even better as we go.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's kind of held Kyler Murray in the past has been injuries, right? I mean, he's had a couple injuries at the end of the season that have slowed him down. And then for a while there too, it was like he was putting up the fantasy points, but he wasn't winning games. And now they're doing both. They're winning games. He's putting the points up as well. So, yeah, I think it's wheels up. Unfortunately, them being in my division, currently being first in our division, makes it tough for me to root for him. But I do like Kyler Murray. I do think that he's, a great fantasy asset. And, just top 5 off the top of my head, you got obviously Hurts, Josh Allen, who else we putting at the top? Jaden Daniels is probably in the top 5.
Lamar.
You're forgetting the guy who's just
Lamar. Yeah, Lamar. Of course, he's probably the MVP this year. So yeah, I think 5 is probably right where he slots in. Off the top of my head, that's probably where he falls now.
Burrow and Mayfield are balling too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're doing with their arm. So I think that Kyler Murray gives you a little bit more with the rushing ability, obviously. But yeah, Burrow and Mayfield both are also really good right now. So at worst, he's top 7. So yeah, I love this rest of the season for Kyler Murray. All right, let's get a next one up here. All right, so this one I was hoping would come up. Anthony Richardson is the starting quarterback for the Colts once again after them coming out saying that Flacco was the starter for the rest of the season. Took him all of 2 games to go back to Anthony Richardson. Ryan, I want to go to you. First, I want to talk about Richardson in general. If you own him in Dynasty, how you feel about him rest of the season and just going forward in Dynasty. But then more short term, how do we feel about the pass catching options? Like, is Pittman going to be downgraded? Is Downs going to be downgraded, etc.?
So I'm going to answer the easy part first, and I think that's the weapons. I think every single one of them is an immediate downgrade, other than maybe Jonathan Taylor. I think all the receivers are downgrade for it. He doesn't throw enough. They don't trust him to throw enough. It's terrifying when it comes to that. For fantasy, dude, he needs reps, but he also needs to learn because we kind of talked about the rookie quarterbacks earlier with not having a ton of reps coming into for Caleb Williams and how much more Jaden Daniels played in college. Both of them have more pass attempts, more years starting, and more playing time than Anthony Richardson has at this point in his year in his NFL career. Like, he had 22 games in college. He's as raw as a player has been. He's basically a rookie who's been thrown to the wolves. He has the rushing upside, but man, the schedule's rough the rest of the year, and he's in a bad situation. This team wanted to bench him. I don't like the flip flop with him. I'm praying he has a good rushing game where he's a lot of points. I can trade him a dynasty. If not, I'm gonna try to trade for him. But like, I'm hoping I can get something good for him.
Yeah,
If not, try to lowball. Like, it's one of those very 50-50 on the way you go.
yeah. It's gonna be a tough rest of the season for sure. What about you, Chew? What are your thoughts on Richardson?
I mean, I wish the Panthers would have gotten him out of the draft. I'm sure they would have mismanaged him just the same way they've mismanaged Bryce Young. So that's neither here nor there. But it's the concern in Dynasty, at least from that perspective, is presumably he is going to be the starter the rest of the year. They did say that, but also, they own the team and they can do whatever they want. But Pittman has not been the Pittman of old. Downs is coming along really well. I'm excited to see that. I was very high on him coming out of UNC. And Pierce, again, is just he's a very good ancillary piece. And having AD Mitchell, like, it's a good group to have. Of course, Jonathan Taylor coming out of the backfield. But I have some concerns just for rest of season of what we are actually going to get on a week in and week out basis from the receivers, even if Pittman starts playing better and that kind of stuff. I don't know that any one of them is going to really turn it around and have a consistent role that you can trust for fantasy. Because the deeper we get into the season, you're starting some lineups where you're trying to figure out, all right, I need to make this flex decision, and this game's going to be, I'm a game or two back, and I need to make sure I can get into the playoffs. And I don't think you have that kind of comfort picking any one of these guys in Indy with Anthony Richardson at the quarterback, believing that he's going to help win you a week because AD Mitchell, because Alec Pierce, even, Pittman and Downs had a touchdown and 100-yard week. There's not a lot of comfort in that happening. And I do think Anthony Richardson would be well served to have kind of like a Jalen Hurts-esque usage in terms of, you don't need to be, he sometimes is throwing it 30 plus times a game, but be throwing it 20 to 25 times a game. Yep. Work on the ground, just make the game as easy as it possibly can for you, because you're built like Derrick Henry. You can throw the fucking ball 70 yards. That's pretty cool. But how do we kind of, hone that in and just play winning football with the talent all around him? So I hope they can do that, but they've mismanaged him a bit in the rookie year. So let's hope that, locker room rallies around him. Flacco's helpful and they can do the right thing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I do think that benching him initially was not the right answer to begin with, because I like you got this guy knowing that he was going to be a project, and you gave up on him after 6 games into the season. That just seemed like it didn't make any sense to me. So going back to him now, it makes it makes sense to me, because give him the opportunity to show what he can do. I didn't get the whole benching to begin with. You had a veteran quarterback that could have helped him through some of those struggles, let him figure it out. So going forward in Dynasty, I like Ryan. I hope that he's able to regain some of his value. Maybe they rush him a little bit more than they were earlier in the season. Hopefully he can stay healthy, something that he hasn't been able to do, in his entire career. So if he can stay healthy and just start winning football games, just to get to that point where the Colts going into the next season can think, okay, maybe this guy can be our quarterback of the future. And that just being a quarterback in Superflex Dynasty gives you value in that sense. And that rushing ability is always going to be there. So, I agree with both of you on Richardson's outlook.
One other thing with him, I'm so concerned about him protecting himself and the team protecting him. They've done a really bad job at it, whether it was the first time he got hurt, when he got injured, came in and they immediately called a running play for him when he obviously had injured ribs. This team's not doing right by him. That concerns me, and he's taking huge hit after huge hit. And the way that schedule looks for him the rest of the year, we're playing the Jets, who can hit, who's a good defense. Detroit's a good defense. Patriots are underrated defense. Denver, Tennessee, they got some teams that's going to come up real rough for him, and he get really beat up in. It's tough to see.
Yep, agreed. All right, we got one more question here in the chat that I want to get to, and then we can get to our prop bet of the week. This is from Snorfies. He wants us to help him sit one of these players: Chase Brown, Aaron Jones, Terry McLaurin, or George Pickens. So we're sitting one player. We don't have the league setting, so let's just assume it's PPR. Chew, who are you going with here? Who are you sitting?
It's weird thinking at this point in the season, my automatic answer is not Chase Brown, but I'm probably gonna go.
It's tough. It's a tough choice.
I'm gonna go Aaron Jones, and I don't feel good about it. I'll say that. I was really kind of landing between Aaron Jones and Terry McLaurin, because with how it's been going, I know Aaron Jones was coming off, I think, the injury last game, but
Yep.
I trust Pickens. I trust what that's becoming. Chase Brown, the same thing. I know they got Khalil Herbert. Shout out Virginia Tech Hokies, but it's Chase Brown's backfield at this point, and they're just zooming at this point. But Aaron Jones, I think that's probably who I'd go with. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, Ryan, what about you? What are your thoughts here? Who are you sitting on these guys?
Sorry, my tab went on and like some started playing.
Okay.
I was very confused. It just completely flashed me. Probably bench Aaron Jones. Really tough matchup with Tennessee, and I like the receivers this week out of those ones. It's always Terry McLaurin, forever and always. He's always starting. And the Ravens have just got destroyed by receivers this year, so Pickens is definitely there. So yeah, It's Aaron Jones, and I feel wrong about it.
Yeah, I think it's Aaron Jones too, and I think it has to do with I think he's left early in 4 or 5 games this year, and then came back and played the next week, so he wasn't a major injury, but it's still something you always got to worry about with Aaron Jones is he does have the injury concern, and he's shown it this year. So I would hate to get 2 quarters out of him, and then he gets injured, and then you're missing out on one of these guys, Chase Brown, McLaurin, or Pickens, that are blowing up on your bench. So I will bench Aaron Jones as well. All right, let's get to our prop bet of the week.
Prop bet of the week.
All right. So as always, guys, Underdog Fantasy is our sponsor here. If you haven't already, download the app. GF2 is the promo code, and we're going to show you how easy it is to put together a three-leg. They don't be calling it parlay. It's a 3-leg pick'em. They try to keep this legal jargon here, but Ryan, give me your pick'em of the week here.
If you were listening to the show, I know we've taken some weeks off, and it would have been my pick until it's not. It's Derrick Henry anytime touchdown, baby. Run it back every week.
Yep, I figured Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. Still, yeah, Ryan's been riding that one all year, so
until it doesn't. It's hitting it till it ain't, and then it's hitting again.
Yep, 100%. I love it. All right, Chew, what do you got for your pick'em this week?
So I'm going to go with a running back touchdown also, and it's actually going to be the return of Brian Robinson against Philly on Thursday. So it's hammer the over on that. I mean, he's missed 2 games, I think 3 total, but 2 back-to-back. But in the 7 he's played, 5 of them he does have at least 1 touchdown. 1 he has 2 touchdowns. Eckler's still getting used, but I trust Brian Robinson, and why not pair another running back up,
I love it. You know what? We're going to go with the 3 for 3 on the running back because I'm taking Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey was the Derrick Henry of last year, right? I mean, he had 18 straight games with a touchdown. Didn't have one in his first game back. I think they find a way to get him the football in this game and get him a touchdown versus Seattle. So we're going with a 3 running back to score a touchdown with Derrick Henry higher than half a touchdown, Brian Robinson Jr. higher than half a touchdown, and Christian McCaffrey higher than half a touchdown. Drop the $5 on that and go ahead and confirm. And it's that simple, y'all. Again, GF2 is that promo code. Go out and do that. We've actually had some good success this year with our pick'ems. We hit like 3 or 4 in a row. Hit a bit of a cold streak, and then me and Ryan took 2 weeks off. So we're hoping to get back to our winning ways this week. And I think we got a pretty good shot at it. We got 3 guys here that scored some touchdowns. So I think we can hit this one this week. All right. It is time for the Forgotten Fantasy Player.
Ready for GoingFor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, y'all know how this works. Chew gives us some hints. Me and Ryan try to guess to see if we can figure it out. I think we got a good little streak going here. I think Chew stumped us the last time he was on, but I think we've gotten the last couple. So, Chew, go ahead and kick it off here.
I'm trying to remember with how the clues work. Would the first one be kind of the whatever clues I want to give?
However
However
you
you
want.
want
There's
to
no
do
rules.
it, however you want to order it, just one at
Okay.
a time. Give us a chance to answer, and then if we need more, we'll ask for more.
Okay, so this running back was a rookie in 2010. That was his rookie year.
Okay. I don't have any guesses for that. Ryan, you
Alfred
have
Morris.
No, I did almost pick him though. That's funny you said that. Let's see. He
I'm gonna need one more
was a undrafted free agent, and it was by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
undrafted.
Geoff, I feel like this is you for your preseason DFS.
Yeah, I'm 2010 is a little bit before DFS, but undrafted though, that really is that's big because there's not a whole lot of guys that have had any success as undrafted running backs. Yeah, I'm gonna need more than that.
Yeah.
So in 2016, he led the NFL in rushing touchdowns.
So his rookie year was in 2010, undrafted, and 6 years later led the league in rushing touchdowns. And you said he's undrafted by the Bucks?
Yeah.
Like you picked him up?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell? 2010, 2000. That wasn't even that long ago.
No, it really wasn't.
2016. Oh, man.
I can have
I
one
have
or
an
two
idea,
other
but
clues
can
that
we-
might give it away, but I don't know.
Was he on the Chiefs when he had led league touchdowns?
No.
Okay.
Was he on the Bucks when he led the league in touchdowns?
Nope.
No. Okay. So I need to
That's
get
the big twist. Yeah.
I need to get
He wasn't on the Bucks for long, I take it.
3 years. I'll say this. I didn't know he was ever on the Bucks, if that makes any sense. For the
Yes,
importance of him being on the Bucks, I never knew he was even on the Bucks.
Where's Jamie in the chat? He usually helps us out.
Keep going.
Yeah, give us some
He's
more.
really going to slow for hints. We normally get a few more than that. Keep going.
He played his college ball at Oregon. That's where he finished his collegiate career.
Royce Freeman.
No.
TJ Duckett. No, that's too old.
Yeah, that's too old. That's
Oh my god, I can like picture him, and that's driving me crazy.
I
What team did he lead the league in touchdowns with?
I don't think he's told.
I was going to do that clue next. Do you want that one?
Let's hear it.
Sure.
So that record was broken when he was on the Patriots.
Oh my god.
LeGarrette
Blount.
Yep.
Yeah, that was it. That was the one that gave it away.
I was like, I'll hold that one off to the end, but
Yeah, I forgot he played for the Bucks. I would have. We could have gone all night if you didn't give that clue. I probably would have never got it because I was not thinking LeGarrette Blount at all. Good stuff, man. You've now stumped us twice.
I would have felt really shitty because I almost did Alfred Morris. I'm like, man, he was going to pick it in the first one.
Yeah. LeGarrette Blount. That's right. I forgot he played for the Bucks. Good pull. I love it. Good stuff, man.
There you go.
That really threw me. As soon as you said it, as soon as his name got said, I was like, yep, he did play for the Bucks. He punched somebody in the face. I remember he got suspended in college for punching somebody in the face in Oregon.
Yep.
Like
right.
a real pro.
That's right. All right. Well, that wraps the show up. I want to thank you, Chew, for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it. I want to thank everybody in the chat that was there tonight. Everybody that's chatting it up. We're gonna go around the room real quick. Give us your Twitter handle and plug anything you're working on. We'll go to you first, Chew.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Father Dynasty, and if you follow me there, then you'll find anything that I'm working on. So just check me out there.
Good stuff, Ryan.
Yeah. Find me on Twitter, Foss534. Find me here Wednesday nights. Find me over at the Rookie Big Board.
Good stuff. As always, guys, follow me on Twitter at Geoff Lambert77. You can also now find me on Blue Sky at the same at Geoff Lambert77. Come check me out over there. We've got about, I think, 4 episodes left. Our last show will be December 4th, I believe, because we don't do the playoffs. And then we will have our annual Going for 2 Christmas show, which is always a lot of fun. I haven't got the date nailed down for that yet, but be on the lookout. I will make sure to plug that. We always have a lot of fun playing games and just doing some fun drunk stuff and just having a good old time. So that's it for the show tonight. For Ryan, for Chew, I'm Geoff, and we will see y'all next week. And good luck this weekend.